welcome to the After the Show. Bernie, how was your disco nap?
It was great. It was very lovely.
Okay, so we have a guest for this hour. And you know what? We are not even treating her nicely.
Oh, boy.
It's already started. Marcelle Fontenot from KATC with us today. How are you?
I am well. Happy to be here with you.
You sure you're ready for this?
I think so. We'll see.
We haven't had you since you were doing the Marcelle's Mission.
Oh, boy. Mm-hmm.
And
that was a year ago.
And you seem to have your whole life all figured out now.
You know.
And you're working out 6 times a week and everything.
For 6 hours a day, yes. Can't you tell?
You know, that's kind of how it goes with those, Biggest Loser competitions. Of course, you can lose 100 pounds in 4 weeks if you work out 9 hours a day.
Yeah, right. I'm not finding time to eat nor sleep. So, my waistline, it's on the list somewhere.
That's good. So we're happy to have you. Look, I have a paper with like a few notes on it. I bet you, Bernie, she's the ultimate professional, has no notes.
That would be
I don't. Well, I have to, in all honesty, I asked, what are we talking about? Just stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Just stuff. I think you're someone people see and welcome into their living room every night. They might have questions, but we'll have the finger on the dump button in case someone calls out something really crazy. So,
ooh, Lord.
The pressure is on.
You got to go
this is the difference between radio and television.
Yeah.
People can't shut me up. They yell at me, I'm sure, through their TVs, but I keep talking.
Well, people can call and shut you up today.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, they're not going to be allowed to do that. You're joking, right?
I'm just totally kidding about that. We talked when the election was going on back in the fall about how carefully, we would watch because I would be sitting in there with taking the phone calls with you back in the day. Mm-hmm. Well, of course she's wearing a red shirt.
Oh, God, yes.
I see that blue necklace.
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
And you have to be conscious of that. You
and
wear a lot
the
of gray.
reality of it is my closet is kind of color-coded. So, Black Fridays is typically what I stick with.
Okay,
Black on
Friday.
But everything else is just random selection. What's clean, what doesn't need to be ironed.
Did these people
what
remember
didn't I wear
that
yesterday?
you're a wife and a mother of
No,
two?
No.
You're like,
She's an activist. I hope y'all know.
Is it clean? Is it cleaned and pressed?
Yes,
That's
it's
what you
good.
want to know.
Does it fit? Okay, great. Let's go for it.
Not pregnant anymore. Bottom rack.
that is how I go through my wardrobe selection.
There's no mystery behind
none
the mystery.
at all. None. There's nothing scientific.
Like Mr. Comey, James Comey's not going to call you up and be like, I'm going to reveal your clothing secrets.
No, he's not at all.
Okay, so it is kind of like the topic of the day, of the times. Bernie and I face it a lot, and people, you're just looped into this group with national media, and well, of course y'all would report it that way. Of course that's how it would happen, and we know how much work goes into calling sources and checking stories and everything. Social media is a whole different aspect, though. How do you deal with that? I'm sure. You live and die by the KATC comments.
Oh, my goodness.
The comment section.
I have had to limit the amount of time I spend on the KATC comments because it is draining.
Yeah.
It's important to know what people think, how they feel.
Sure.
But there's sometimes I just need to step away from it all, and sitting there at the comments, it's just a lot. It's a lot. So you're right. We got a call yesterday about our newscast being the exact same as it was the day before. And the question I posed was, what was I wearing? In case you were watching it on DVR or something else. Yeah. Well, the subject matter is the same and you told this story. Well, a lot of these things are circulating. We're going to talk about them every day.
And there are updates
there
to
are
different things.
There new information coming in. And I think people forget sometimes that we're here to carry you from start to finish. That's our job, not to tell you what we want you to know. We don't have that power, Our responsibility is to tell you the information we get, and then you decipher what you want to do with it after that.
And a lot of what you cover, what makes it really different and what we cover, are city council meetings.
Right. It's people you see at the grocery store.
Yeah, so
it's not the president, it's not members of Congress unless they're here. It's none of that. It's people every day who live here, who work here, who play here, who spend their money here, who pay their taxes here, and trying to figure out, hey, this is what's happening in your world, your neighborhood. How can we facilitate some change if you think that's necessary? Are you happy with this? Let us know. If you're not, let us know that as well, and we'll do what we can to bring about some resolution for you.
So, for yourself, look, you're a daughter of St. Landry Parish, and one day they're going to make that Opelousas Walk of Fame. It's probably, I don't know if it's going to be in front of Mama's somewhere.
Hey, that is one of the most famous landmarks in Opelousas,
or in front of
I must
Billy's
say.
or something, somewhere around there. Why here? We've seen you. We've welcomed you into our house for so many years. You and I, let's see, I bet you we first met, I think it's 10 years ago this year.
Okay, well,
you're
in
still
August,
here,
it will be 14 years. I had this conversation with someone at the United Way Women's Leadership Luncheon yesterday, and they were like, how long have you been here? And it rolled off my tongue so quickly, 13 years. And then I stopped. And I'm like, 13? I said I was staying for 2. Where has the time gone? But it's home. I can't seem to let this place go even if I wanted to. And now I'm married with 2 kids who I'm educating here and raising here. And it's by choice. Yeah. It's by choice. I could have left a long time ago. Fortunately for me, my career, I've been extremely blessed because at every stage of my career, something new was right behind it. When I started reporting, 2 years later, I was sitting in an anchor chair at 6 o'clock. And 2 years after that, it became 5, 6, and 10. And so it was the right place for me to be at that time. And I think it happened that way for a reason. I'm settled here. I'm comfortable here. It's my choice to still be an Acadiana. And why not, right? I mean, we have our issues, but so does the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, no kidding, right?
So, and then we can, eat crawfish while we talk about those issues. So it all balances out.
So it's way better at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, we talk about this, especially, with Bernie. One thing I love about working with Bernie is that when there's something that happens, I can be like, Bernie, did that ever happen before? And Bernie would be like, well, actually, in 1998, I was on the air and someone called. And you know what? And that gives so much because I think a lot of times in the age of Facebook, the context is almost not there. And so you take everything and you're like, oh, Trump did this. Oh,
this is the first time this has ever happened in human history.
Yes.
And it's all this person's fault.
Yeah.
It's hard. And the context, I think, is so interesting. We ended up with those questions with the most recent vote, the tax renewals, that I don't think if you would have asked anyone on the Friday before, they were even thinking about what to do if they failed.
Right. No.
I mean, because it never happened before, but we're kind of in a different time right now.
We are. We're definitely in a different time. And, we're a very unique people. And sitting in the newsroom with reporters who aren't from here, who are learning the culture and learning the people. We're one of a kind. And it's fortunate for me that I can say to them, okay, listen, here's this backstory. Here's the history behind this. And as you go to approach this new subject or this old subject with new points to it, you can better figure it out from the standpoint that people are coming from. Because you have someone like me who can say, okay, here you go. Just like with Bernie, you throw out some dates and times and events, and
or
it's
agencies.
Like, yes,
I mean,
yeah.
And Rob will look at me with that kind of the eyebrow goes up.
It's the
I'm
pug.
Like, no, dude,
it's the
really.
pug head.
It is the pug head.
And
so,
I mean, that's great. Though.
It is. Okay, so I'm kind of curious because we just came off of like that Mother's Day weekendy kind of fun thing, and you are in a business that is a tough business.
It is.
Okay. I cannot even imagine, being a mother.
For starters.
Let's start there.
Okay. B, my kids are like young. And C, I work in the media.
Yeah. I don't think,
I mean, it's good in the sense of the time frame.
Oh, the schedule. The schedule is a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
Yeah.
My work day at KTC doesn't start until 2. So my mornings, typically, I spend with the boys. That's like the extension of my time with them. And now that I have a 5-year-old and who's in school and wanting to do things, and mom can't be there after school. So that's the tough side of it. I am fortunate enough. I go home on my break, and my husband has taken care of dinner, and normally they're in the bathtub. I step in, and we read books and we say our prayers. So I am there for a part of the conclusion of their day. But the schedule, it's a lot.
I was going to say, is it ever normal for any mother with 2 children in any career?
No.
I mean, I'm guessing it's just not.
Because there's a part of you that's always somewhere else.
Right.
You're present in your work environment, but your mind is on, okay, well, he was sick this morning. I wonder how he's feeling. Did they give him the medicine on time? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? I'm potty training a 2-year-old. oh Lord, am I going to get a dirty clothes bag today? Like all of that is so continual.
Are you thinking about that before the 10 o'clock newscast?
Yes.
Okay. See, because it's like people don't know that aspect.
Yeah, I carry my life with me. Now, fortunately, when the show open rolls and the mics are on, you know, you focus and you're in the moment. But commercial breaks, yeah, it's like, okay, back to that. Okay, well, let's regroup again. I can't. Jim hears all kinds of stories and all kinds of things standing next to me every day.
And poor Rob, I have no excuse. I have puppies. Okay, and
those are work too. Those are work too.
I know, and I'm like, and Gracie, she won't leave this one corner alone, and she's got mud all over her face. And he's like, okay, I can't hear anymore. And so,
I'm like, I have an ear infection I'm dealing with.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, but it's the same.
Well, I have to tell you a story. Mother's Day. So we have this wonderful brunch with my parents and the boys and my husband, and my 5-year-old's playing t-ball. So we go to t-ball, and I see him, and he's just not looking well. So I'm like, well, what's the matter? My stomach hurts, Mommy.
Oh, no.
I said, okay. I said, well, let's go to the bathroom. Let's work this out. Let's get a little water and cool off for a minute and see what it is. So we do that, and then we come back, and the game's over. But we had to bring snacks, so we pick up the snacks in the cooler and all that for the team and tell everybody, you know, see you next week. And we're in the car and we're driving home. And
of course,
a mother says, let me give you a bag just in case, right?
I knew that was coming.
Not a minute later, we're driving. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get you home. You can lay down. As he put it, Mommy, it was like a volcano with hot lava. And it was my reality check on Mother's Day that this never ends, lady. Holiday or not, don't get a big head and think you're going to relax. Let's take care of this that's happening in the back seat of your car.
Yep.
Right now.
Yes, Mommy, it was like hot lava from a volcano.
But that's an awesome description. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, he ate spaghetti at lunch, so that
it was
not
lava.
to tell you too much, but yeah, it was lava, literally.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I'm so interested. You're really involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Yes.
That's something we talk with a lot here on the morning show, and you know we're gonna do it on the afternoon show.
Okay.
One of the things that just makes Acadiana so great. We're gonna get a quick break in right now, and we're going to be back with Marcelle Fontenot. Rob and Bernie, by the way, sitting in for the vacationing Carol Ross.
Who we have heard is at the Lucerne Center.
Are we
in
just
Switzerland?
In Switzerland.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, where in the world is Carol Ross?
Yeah.
We continue
I'm
to play that.
thinking probably she might go to the Seychelles tomorrow.
Oh. See,
the life of Carol Ross.
I was thinking Holly Beach. I mean.
Well, that's all a part of the Amazing Race.
It was not me. Hey, welcome back to the After the Show show. Rob Kirkpatrick and Bernadette Lee in for Carol Ross. And joining us this hour, we decided to line up an array of guests.
A cavalcade of stars.
Yes, a cavalcade of stars.
That's right, baby.
Don't you worry. We have no security here. We might have an engineer that can come with you with a mouse. It's not working, but we aren't armed here in this building. Let's talk about nonprofit works. You were actually the first person I knew that did anything with Komen, and that was several years back. I feel like I vaguely remember like a couple Komen events, but I mean, it has moved on to several different ones now, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which you've done for quite a while as a big sister, but now you're working even closely with.
Yeah, I tend to be quiet about the things that I do outside of news because I live my life on a stage, so to speak, and I don't do it for the, hey, look at me, what I'm doing here. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, I was a big for many years and a board member with the agency. And those roles ended. And not too long ago, I guess it's been almost a year now, I found out that they were looking for someone part-time to do what's called match support. And I thought, I can add something else to my schedule and I can help this agency out. And it's one that's near and dear to my heart, so why not? So I contacted them. I went through an interview process.
And I can imagine they were like,
it was kind of like, wait, what?
You have time for us?
Well, and not even that. You want to do what? And I was like, no, seriously. Like, I needed something to take me away from news and all of the bad, negative, whatever you want to call it. It's heavy. It's heavy to carry.
Heavy. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's
it's heavy to carry every day. So I needed something else. So I'm there a couple times a week. And what I do in match support, I talk to volunteers and children and their parents who are matched through the program. And I basically hear about how they're doing, how well they're doing in their matches. I talk to the kids and how happy they are about their bigs, and it gives them something. And a lot of these kids are dealing with far more than we ever could imagine as adults. Yeah. And, you know, they're 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, having to grow up in some of these situations, and they need something. They need someone. So that's where the volunteers come in. But it's also just as rewarding for the volunteers as well, to be with these kids and to see the changes in them. And it's amazing how quick they happen. Yeah. Their behaviors change, their grades get better, just from the added element of support, and someone who they can attach themselves to as theirs. You know, that's my big brother, that's my big sister. So cool for me that I was like, okay, I can do it. And it has given me exactly what I wanted. Yeah. I wanted that break from heavy. And in hearing some of the kids' stories, they are heavy. But you see the opposite end. You see the light at the end of the tunnel when you hear about how the volunteer is helping to change that child's life. And, you know, the agency, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. And I'm going to make this plea on behalf of Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're always looking for volunteers. Anyone who has an interest, all you have to do is go to the website, click, someone will call you. It's not as big as time commitment as people think. The community-based program, we ask you for twice a month for 2 to 3 hours at a time. And in school-based, you visit your little at school 1 hour a week. And it makes a huge difference in these kids' lives.
And I can imagine just having someone who they can look up to, someone, it might be the first time they've seen success or like what hard work gets you. I can imagine that goes a long way.
It does. It goes an extremely long way. And and some of these volunteers have come back, whether they were bigs or not, or just knew about the program, and they say, you know, I was once this kid. My neighborhood wasn't the best, or the makeup of my family wasn't the best, but I had someone. So let me come back and give this same to somebody else. So you see the process and you see the evolution in it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some matches that don't work.
Sure.
Our case managers do a really good job of finding out as much as they can about the child and the volunteer and making them blend. But you do have sometimes that it doesn't work. And what do? We start the process over. We do not let that child go. It may take some time to get them a new volunteer, but we keep in contact. We talk to their parent and let them know, hey, we're still working. So volunteers are vital. We're always in need of them. And if you're remotely interested, just contact the agency and find out a little more.
Awesome. Just, you know, it's somebody showing them that even, you know, somebody outside of my family, like say it's a single parent home, you know, they know, hey, you know, my dad loves me or my mom loves me, but somebody else loves me too.
Yeah. And, you know, you deal with kids who might have an incarcerated parent or a deceased parent, or there's so many situations and circumstances that they deal with day in and day out. And that volunteer is their go-to, is their additional, hey, you know, here I am. You see me. You see me for who I am. You see me for where I am. Yes, you know my struggles, but you're helping me to come out of them. And not that the volunteers are counselors. We don't need you to be that. We want you to have fun. Yes, we want you to have fun. And if this child happens to talk to you about some of the things they're dealing with, you know, you support them through it. We don't want you to solve the problem for them. Just support them through it.
You just listen.
Really cool. Really cool. We got to get another quick break here right now.
And then at some point, because the time's going to run away.
It will.
I'm a girl. She's a girl.
Okay.
Girl time.
I am dying to know.
So I'll open my Mountain Dew.
You open your Mountain Dew.
I'll slide the.
There's
what are you
very important issue I want to ask about.
Okay.
Makeup.
As I have none on right now, but I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, but they should film you just like that because you look great.
Thank you, Bernie.
I won't give away the secrets.
It's called HD. Never would this happen.
I was about to say. I've seen the paintbrushes come out. You can buy that at Michael's. I'm telling you.
Know, all right, I use spackles. I want to know.
Let's take a quick break right here. We're back so Bernie and Marcelle can talk about makeup.
This is that ice cold Marcelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Styling, wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent.
2:31. We're back with the After the Show. You know, it's good. This is a weird business that we work on.
No, not a weird business.
I think Bernie
totally normal.
The same thing. You know, Marcelle will tell you the same thing. People come and go, and it has been hard for me to break my mind of a 2-year cycle because you're so used to people coming into your life for 2 years, the normal length of a television contract or a radio contract, and then they go somewhere else. And then it's weird when you all of a sudden spend every night with them. You know, you get to know them, you have dinner with them, especially when you're young and single and have no kids. You know, Marcelle and I aren't in that category anymore, but we were at one point.
I'm still young.
You know, and let me tell you,
I think.
I mean, the amount that some restaurants made off of us because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just like we would get
It's
on
what you
kicks,
do.
and we would go to have dinner. I mean, that's just what we did. Well, I think the cool part now I can appreciate this is there are people who I keep in touch with and people who I don't. You know, and over the years I didn't live here, you and I kept in touch when I came back in town or I wanted to pop in. Just
Right.
like I popped into the radio station here, I'd just go by just to be like, all right, what are y'all doing? You know, just to kind of keep up with it. So, you know, it's really cool.
Yeah,
fun.
it's awesome. It is awesome.
All right, I
all
have
right,
to know.
you
I
go
have to
for
know.
it.
I'm
Dive
sorry.
in. I'm going to go get a drink.
Okay. So, Marcelle,
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
me about. Okay, so when you first started television, what was the hair and makeup routine like?
Okay, so and I should tell you this: the night before I started at Channel 3, I think my first day was a Monday or Tuesday. I went to a makeup counter and sat down and said, I know nothing about makeup because I didn't. I hadn't worn any outside of, you know, maybe some mascara and
Sure.
lipstick. That was it. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting on TV. And the girl walked me step by step. So my first day, I'm freaked out because
You're like, I have to.
I wrote it
reproduce
down,
this.
but I didn't know what I was doing.
Right, right.
And some days I still don't know what I'm doing all these years later. But so when I first started, as a reporter, I came in made up and ready to go out on my story for the day. Now as an anchor, I don't do that anymore. I come in and I make up at work. So it's a 30-minute process or so.
Okay.
And when it comes to my hair, as long as the front looks good, I'm not really concerned about what the back looks like.
Nobody's gonna see that.
Nobody
anyway.
sees the back of my head, so it does not matter what it looks like back there. And yeah, it's a process. You know, you get it done, and then you have to retouch and all that stuff. And
Is the makeup different now because of the digital presence?
yes, like yeah, it is. You know, there's now this HD makeup, and most lines will tell you that they're HD ready and that it's fine. I have stuck with the same type of makeup that I started with.
Okay.
You know, change is good, but I'm not changing. So
Change is good, but not.
And luckily it worked. It worked for television then, and it still works now. What I have had to change in my regimen, in my makeup regimen, and I'm still figuring out now that I have children and I don't sleep nearly as much as I used to, is these suitcases I carry under my eyes that I'm just still adjusting to. It's like sleep or concealer. Concealer is winning.
Concealer should be winning, right?
It's winning
Yeah.
because the sleep is not happening. Not at all.
So let me ask you this too, because I don't ever have to. I don't have to worry about this. Maybe like when we go somewhere,
Right.
Okay, Facebook. That's why I was so mad at Facebook. I was so mad at Facebook. Because
She
you see-
called Mark Zuckerberg and
And I
And
said,
said, Mark, what are you
Marky Mark
doing?
said, honey,
Look, the Zuck man. See, I was all happy. I was
Right.
in the abyss, in
You're
my
in your
fishbowl.
cocoon, yes.
Ooh, la 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 la. Then Facebook comes along, and when you buy in the 4 for $1 macaroni and cheese at Albertsons, people are like, "Oh, she buys the bargain macaroni and cheese." So, from that aspect, I kind of get it from that aspect. But your life is in a fishbowl,
Yeah.
right, all the time.
Yeah, all the
so
time.
I am curious because you mentioned the colors that you would wear on certain outfits, and then. So do people actually do that? Do they send you comments?
Oh, girl, they comment more
I
on that than
cannot-
anything else. Like,
I
okay,
really
so the
cannot
haircut,
believe that.
right?
I'm telling you, I was with her at a fundraiser about a month ago. For every thanks for being here, it was I love your hair.
Yeah,
Right, right, right.
And I'm
the-
like,
Yeah, but that's okay.
I got my hair
I'm
cut
talking
too last
about
week.
The clothes?
the people who comment on your clothes, comment on your makeup, comment on your hair
Oh,
in a not nice
people
way.
are very easy to. They're quick to tell you, you cut your hair. I really don't like it. You should let it grow
So
back.
people
or
really
that
do
outfit.
that?
Yes, they will email. They will call. I mean, and I handle it.
It makes you wonder though, who raised these
are you
people?
listening to what I'm saying
Well,
on the
not
news?
even
or are
that.
you
Yeah,
watching?
it's like I don't even know if people hear anything I
Right,
say.
right.
Sometime, and they will approach you in the grocery store. Hey, Marcelle, how you doing? Oh, you know that dress you wore 2 days ago? I really didn't like it. And on the one hand, it's like at least I know you're watching.
Sure,
So thank you.
sure.
On the second hand, after I'm over the initial, okay, thanks. It's
What do you segue to at
I
that
recognize
point? Do you
that
critique their current
I'm
outfit?
with them. I'm with them at home.
Yes,
I'm
that's
with
right.
them in their comfort zone
Yes.
3 times a day. So we have this relationship. It's kind of one-sided, but I'm there. I'm there as they have dinner. I'm there as they're going to bed at night. So I take it that way. I had to learn to take it that way.
Yeah, because you are within their
because I'm
homes.
human.
Sure.
And, and sometimes it's like, really?
Okay, Marcelle, I'm dying to know, though.
Okay.
Because I know you would never do this, but I want to know if you secretly, what I said before, do you secretly think about it? Like when someone comes and they, hey, blah, 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 and they're talking about do you immediately want to step back and then critique their hairdo, their makeup,
Not
and their
even
outfit?
that. I really want to say, like, well, do I come to your job and critique what you do right and wrong? Thanks. No, I don't. Because if I'm out, I mean, not obviously at the grocery store, but if I'm at an event, it's work. It's technically work.
That's right.
And to have somebody come in the midst of your day and just kind of shoot you down, but end with a smile and a wave, it's like, oh, really?
But you're also not a model.
No,
You're
I'm
a
not.
journalist.
I'm a human being.
You have to wear clothes.
I
but
do.
It's like that's probably not your first thought for the whole day.
No.
Has
Oh,
to
wearing
be-
clothes is not her first thought.
has to
That
be-
came out wrong.
I'm just saying. You have to think of
she's
10
got
times
bigger,
more things.
Yeah, she's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah,
You've got,
and I do appreciate. We talked about this just yesterday that the news anchor in Australia who wore like the same suit for a year and nobody noticed.
Right.
And Jim and I were having this exact conversation. I'm like, you can wear that suit
That's
every
right.
day,
He can.
but
No
nobody
one
will
would ever know.
notice.
Yep.
And it's just not the same for the female on the other side of the desk.
It's not the same,
Nope,
man.
not
It's
the
not
same.
the same.
People would joke or would laugh when I would tell them when I first started working my first TV job, which was at KATC, we did French and English weather. There was still the
Yes.
French weather. And then, I kind of think back to when you were pregnant the first time, they were the nuns. Were they at Sacred Heart?
They were at
Is
Sacred Heart.
That knew, you were very open about some of the health problems that you were
Yes.
having. Luckily, they weren't major.
Right, no, nothing
but
major.
Gosh, when you're pregnant for the first time, any little hiccup is really stressful. I mean, and they reached out and said, just want to let you know, like, we're praying for you every
and
day.
That's the best side
Oh, it
of all
is.
of it.
It is. It makes everything else just
away.
mediocre. Yeah. Those nuns in particular, as a matter of fact, we still keep in touch with them, and we have not seen them in a few months. But I didn't find out until I had my son that I told my boss, I'm like, do not send the camera here until I tell you I'm ready. Like, don't. So, people from the hospital come, they're like, yeah, there's a camera downstairs. And I'm like, what? And I call or text or whatever. And she's like, oh, we weren't looking for an interview from you yet. We were just going to do a story about it. So I'm like, fine, the reporter's here. Just send her up. So we do the story and I'm watching it on television. In the hospital, and I see these 3 little ladies sitting up there talking about how they noticed I was pregnant.
Aww.
And they had been praying for me specifically since they figured out that I was pregnant. And they said, one of them said, ooh, look how big she's getting.
That's so
and
cute.
at that point, I was like, okay, Marcelle, yeah, like people have watched you through this process. You've got to engage them and let them know you're okay and the baby's fine and they're part of it.
Because they're your family too.
They are. They really, 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 really are. People here have been supportive not only through my pregnancies, but just life in general. And life happens, and even if it's just a hello, how are you? It's like, this is good. This is good. People at their core, regardless of what we talk about and read about day in and day out, people at their core are good.
People.
Are good.
Absolutely. And, we're luckiest because it is expressed
Here.
in our culture.
It is. It really is.
It's not like other areas of the country.
No, where people are rigid, and I mean, a hello, a how you doing, a hug. How many hugs do you give to people that you don't know? I'm
so
like
true.
the queen of that.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I've decided right in this moment again. I was thinking about this the other day, but the decision has been made.
Okay.
I'm going back to the smoochie on the left side of the cheek, the smoochie on the right side of the cheek. I'm going back to that now. Full throttle. Full throttle. And let me tell you who the funniest is about that. Marie. Our friend Marie.
Okay. Marie Santani.
Marie Santani, gorgeous. She used to work here. So that's how I knew her before, she got into the whole realm of, stuff, of political stuff. She is the master at the left cheek, the right cheek.
Oh, is she?
Left cheek, right cheek, yes. And the reason I know this is because my favorite dress in the world still has some of that, I think it's 3D makeup, 3D lipstick right on the shoulder. So basically, not only was it a power dress before, it's a double power dress.
Oh, wow.
Because it's
Okay.
got the super lipstick that says, oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So,
right.
you know, I bet you get that kind of feeling from people, too, because
Yeah.
there's so many supportive people.
They really, really are. I mean, seriously, like hugs and kisses come, you know, they come all the time. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes.
You know, how much more endearing is that for somebody you don't know? Or somebody,
Yeah.
you know, it's when I see older people who are like, oh, Shaq, come here, you know, and then we watch you every night. Thank you.
Yeah,
you know,
because
you
that's
could be
super.
doing so much else with your
Yes.
time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Because, you know, we're bearing it all.
Okay.
Wow, did you know it was going to be a Barbara Walters
Hey,
interview?
look, I'm kind of an open
We're
book.
gonna wait to cry
I
till the
don't
last
really
segment.
live my life in a shell.
No,
so.
we're not going to cry or anything. But I think we need to move on to the tall one. His name is Jim.
Mm-hmm.
His last name is Hummel.
Mm-hmm. I know that guy.
Y'all are standing next to one another
Mhm.
many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to know. Tell me. You have mentioned that you talk an awful lot to him.
We do.
Is he a good listener? Because let me ask you this. He seems
Oh,
like
wow. Jim, wherever he is right now,
He's-
he is
he's- I
blushing.
I should have
right
told
now.
him to listen.
He's the color of our wallet.
I told him where I was
Probably-
coming, so he
yeah.
probably is listening.
either
knowing
that
him.
or he crawled under his bed and he's like, oh, those
Yeah.
people are weird. No, but I am very, very curious because I know poor Rob. God bless Rob and every person I've ever worked with in the morning. You men, because we're women.
Mhm.
We talk.
We do.
We can't help it.
We do. We
I-
do.
And sometimes you just have a bad day. You just need to get it out there, and you
Okay.
need someone to say,
And I mean,
I support you.
I tell
Yes.
Jim and I were basically married. Like I'm legally married to someone else.
right.
I'm married through career to you.
Yes, that's right.
And our desks are next to each other, and we stand next to each other, and we share the good, the bad, the in between. He knew all about my breastfeeding schedule and eating avocado to make your milk richer, and like he knew all of that, all of
That's
it.
what I wanted
He
to
knows
know.
all, and he sits there and is like, okay, oh really? Yeah, okay. So if you ever need breastfeeding advice, talk to Jim Hummel. He's a book
yeah,
of
find
knowledge.
Jim Hummel, please. Someone please find him in the grocery store.
Oh,
just to ask.
please.
But you know, we in good times and bad, we talk each other off of a ledge sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes I encourage him, no, send that response. Send it. It's good to have that kind of support.
Yeah.
And he really is. He's a good listener.
He seems like he would be that kind of person.
He's a great guy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we work together, but he's such a cool guy. Like, he really is.
He looks like, let's just face it, he looks like he's Mr. Suave.
Oh, yes.
You know,
he's very
He
debonair
very pays-
and just,
yeah,
you know.
he pays attention.
He does, and he's 6'4", so he's got this tall, lean stature, and you know, yeah, he handles it well though. I tell him all the time, like if we go out together, I'm like, you know, you're the coolest guy in the room, right? And he's like, oh no, not at all. So he's very humble about it.
You know, my daughter refers to them. Well, first of all, she refers to the three as Jim, Michelle, and Rob. That's just, and she knows. And you know what? And I can't tell you how many times, you know, it's just always on. You know,
Right,
and,
sure.
and Sarah and I will be like, it's Marcelle, Michelle. So Jim,
That's
Michelle,
fine.
and Rob. And I brought her over one time, and I
She
forgot why
must
we
have
stopped
flipped
by.
out.
And she loves Jim. She loves him because it's like her personal giant. She had to take a picture next to him. And I'm telling you, she's not, I mean, she's 3. She's not up to his kneecaps. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I mean,
Look, you
and
know.
he loves it. But you know what? He was just as funny. And it's so funny to watch him squirm because he doesn't know what to do.
He's
you know,
he's a little awkward especially when it comes to like kids, and it's like, here, Jim, hold this baby, and he's like,
What is this for
right,
an
you know?
object?
We'll be there talking. Travis and I'll be talking kid stuff, and Jim's like, well, I have an orchid. And I'm like, yeah, we know.
Same thing.
It's blooming. Yes, we know.
All right, let's get a quick break in here. We'll be back to wrap up with Marcelle Fontenot. The After the Show, Rob and Bernie here with you. I'm ready for a nap. You know, I haven't been home yet. So
At least you get one.
And I'm going to tell you, there was a major disco nap today. I'm not going to lie. There are perks to not having, you know, these young little children.
I know.
You
no,
know?
that's why my schedule works, because I'm exact opposite of you, where I get here. We'll go ahead and say 5 o'clock, but Bernie's gonna be like 5:40, and I'm waiting for you to do
5:40.
stuff. Let's just say 5:30. Let's settle on that. And I'm done though by 12:30 or 1. And so
Yeah.
and that's now it doesn't get me. I have no excuse when it comes to Sarah because she's like, you got off at 1.
Right.
What did
I don't
you
wanna
do?
hear- I don't want to
What
hear
have you
anything about
taken
you
care
tired,
of, honey?
but the grass better be cut and the trash better be out, and
Yes.
gymnastics is at 4:15, so you better get to moving. So one time
Yeah.
at band camp. No, hey, welcome back, by the way, to the afternoon after the show, Rob and Bernie.
What happened?
I'm here with you. Do you remember right after you got married, there was the huge spread in one of the magazines,
Oh,
and they had
yes.
some wedding pictures. Okay,
Yes.
Everywhere. Oh, Marcelle got married. Oh, it was beautiful. Okay, we've talked a lot about how I want to relive her wedding because it was that much fun.
It was
Well, we
pretty
go to
fun.
Popeyes. Okay, we walk up. We order.
Wait, you go to Popeyes
Not
after
during the wedding. Way
No,
after.
this was after.
While
Was
there
it
was,
after?
yeah, it was after because it was
Okay.
when the wedding pictures were in the magazine, and the cashier checks us out and says, "Oh, Marcelle, is this your husband?" And we both were like, "No, no," and look in the magazine. You'll see him. You know.
Yeah, don't start any rumors. I'm fresh off
Jay
the
could,
aisle.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, Jay could pick me up and move me out the way, you know. But it's so great, as always.
that's adorable.
So let's talk about, as we kind of wrap up. We just have a
Yeah,
little
we
while
don't have
left.
very much left.
Because this is home for you.
That went by so fast.
I know,
I'm
it
sorry,
did.
I must interject.
Aren't we just so easy to
Yeah,
talk to?
really.
It's just like an afternoon coffee.
Exactly.
Just like morning
it is.
coffee and whatever. Because this is home and you do have to cover tragedy here. You had to, you were out there. I'm pretty sure you were off the day the grand shooting happened.
I was
and
in
you
a
found
wedding.
a camera.
I was in a wedding,
Yeah.
and I texted my boss and said, "Do you need me?" This was very early on, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I think we're okay." And then as I kept getting push notifications, hours, ABC, CNNs, I'm like, "Let me go to work." So I left rehearsal dinner and came back to Lafayette.
How is it different? I mean, I guess it's all you know because you've always had to cover tragedy somewhere that you go every day, where you live your life, whether it's a flood or a hurricane or a shooting at the Grand. How do you kind of deal with that? Because I know a lot of reporters have a hard time accepting, like, oh gosh, it happened here.
Well, I remember my first murder. I remember being out with a photographer, and they sent me out, and I remember thinking there's a body in that building. And it was what a day. I mean, it slapped me in the face, the reality of what my job was. But it becomes a process. Right after I started, Katrina and Rita happened. So there was another quick lesson. And, I remember saying, it's crazy to think that I've covered probably one of the biggest tragedies in the existence of this world already in my career, and I've only been in it a year max at that point. And so once you figure out the dynamics, and a lot of it was learning by doing and learning by seeing and watching others, and okay, well, this is how I need to handle it, and asking questions. You do the work, but then you take a step back and say, this is not something else I'm watching on someone else's news program.
Because you still have to go home.
You still
the
go
lights
home.
turn off.
During Katrina, I went home and my house was full. I didn't have a bed. And I remember this, in all honesty here. I remember coming home one day and it had been like a 12, 14-hour day out, rain, people, evacuate, like just a long day. And I drove home and all I wanted to do was get in my bed. And I didn't have a bed because we had evacuees in our bed. And I remember for a moment, I was just kind of like, ugh. And then I was like, well, wait, you came home.
Yeah.
They don't have one. So self-check
the
real quick.
reminder's always there.
Yeah, really, really quick. So you do the work, but then you take a step back from it at the end of the day. And especially now that I have kids, I look at the world differently than when it was just me. And I worry about what's it going to be like for them. And so my husband tells me all the time, he's like, you can't carry this all day, every day.
No.
I'm raising 2 little brown boys, and there's some fear there for me, for my sons. And I carry that all day, every day. And Jay says all the time, Marcy, you live for, today. Worry about them today. Get them through this day. You can't worry about what's going to happen next week, next year, 10 years from now. So in time of tragedy, you do the job. And then as a human being, you take a step aside and you process and you cope And then right after that, you get back to work. But you do have to take that moment to recognize the weight of what's going on around you. But you also have to know your role in it, that the role you play is vital for other people. Because my job is to inform you of what's happening in your world. And if it's a time of tragedy, you need to know more now than ever what's happening at your house, in your neighborhood, in your city, town, parish, whatever it is. And so then it's like, okay, it's no longer about you. You're doing this for the hundreds of thousands of people that you're reaching day in and day out.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think one of the things to me that drew me to news and what I loved about it is, you know, I used to have super weather anxiety. Like a tornado hit my school when I was in 4th grade, and that's probably when it started. So I was always nervous if the skies get black. And something about watching TV and seeing, you know, I grew up in the New Orleans area, turning on the TV and seeing people like, okay, they're alive, like they're good. And even more when Katrina happened, you know, just seeing like, okay, so we're not here, but we're broadcasting from Baton Rouge. We're going to keep, you know, like life goes on. And I think that's one of the ultimate things with what we do here in the morning, Bernie and I. Yes, we are led to believe around every corner that it's the end. That, can you believe this happened? This has never happened before. Or I don't know how we're going to go on like this. That it ultimately does.
It does.
You know, and is it a new normal? Are you happy with it? You know, of course not. I mean, especially in the political arena, there are going to be things you agree with and some things that you don't.
Well, and we live in a world now where everything is instantaneous. You know about it as it's happening. I mean, years ago, you didn't know immediately. But I try every day to tell myself, look for the people who are doing good. Look for the people who are doing good. And there's the reality of the world we live in.
Marcelle Fontenot, it has been an awesome hour.
We appreciate you coming by. I cannot believe it's been that quick.
The After the Show. Bernie and I are going to continue to do it the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to Megan Saunier from Travel Machine. Hey, what are the big trips? How can you go somewhere on a budget?
Yes.
Maybe you want to bust the budget. Where's the coolest place you can go? Antarctica?
That's what I was just
We're
about
gonna
to ask.
We're going to ask.
Can you go there?
Who has time for that boat trip?
Okay.
Send me a picture.
And does the boat make it through the ice?
Let me sit on my couch and just watch that or something.
What kind of underwear do you wear to go on that trip?
Okay, all right.
That's the big question.
You got the makeup question today. You can ask the underwear question tomorrow.
I mean, they have to be pretty doggone warm.
On Friday, we'll also talk to State Senator Fred Mills. So,
oh, boy.
Always a live wire there. It's 2:57 now. The Offsides guys are coming up.